Hey everyone, Happy New Year and welcome back to Money Moves. As we cheer on to the new year, I want to share with you a comprehensive financial checklist that I use at the start of every year to make sure it's the best year ever. James Clear, in his famous book Atomic Habits, talks about set systems, not goals, and that's my approach to New Year resolutions. Because goals are nice and all, but systems are what actually get things done. I have never been a believer of tracking every expense or spending hours fiddling with a budget template. Instead, I focus on building my systems that help me achieve my goals. Think of this checklist as a financial tune-up. It's not about micromanaging every dollar, it's about making small, meaningful adjustments to optimize your financial health and set yourself up for long-term success. And the best part? Once your systems are in place, they practically run themselves. With that being said, here's my comprehensive financial checklist for the start of the year. 1. Contribute to RRSP before the deadline to save taxes. 2. Review my 2025 investment strategy. 3. Review my credit card strategy for 2025. 4. Review my HELOC and mortgage strategy. 5. Find ways to earn more and reduce expenses. And 6. Bonus strategy, invest in relationships. 1. Contribute to RRSP before the deadline to save taxes. A quick intro for anyone new to the RRSP world. Think of your RRSP, Registered Retirement Savings Plan, as your financially savvy bestie. It's there for you, helping you save money, grow investments, and best of all, help reduce your current tax payables. Here's how it works. Every dollar you contribute to your RRSP lowers your taxable income. That means you could drop into a lower tax bracket or just owe less overall. For example, if you earned $70,000 last year and put $10,000 into your RRSP, you're only taxed on $60,000. Want to know the exact tax savings? Just hop onto one of those RRSP savings calculators online, such as this one. Plug in your income, your contribution amount, and your province. In this case, contributing $10,000 could save you $2,965 in taxes if you are based in Ontario. That's nearly a third back in tax savings. And here's the cherry on top. While your money sits in your RRSP, it grows tax-free. No taxes on gains, dividends, or any growth until you withdraw it. Ideally when you're retired, sipping margaritas on a beach somewhere. At that point, you'll likely be taxed at a lower rate since your income will probably be lower. It's like putting your money into a cozy financial cocoon where it can thrive and grow. Now, let's kick things up a notch with the concept of an RRSP loan. The idea is, instead of contributing only your available cash, you can get a loan to top up your contribution, and then after the tax filing and you get the tax refund, you can use the tax refund to pay back the loan. Think of it as a financial cheat code offered by banks to help you hit your RRSP contribution target if you don't have enough cash on hand to contribute. In this video, I use the term RRSP loan as it is specifically designed for this purpose. But if you've got access to other low interest options like a HELOC, home equity line of credit, that works too, and often at a lower rate. HELOC rates are typically prime plus 0.5%, while RRSP loans tend to be higher. The idea here is the same. Use the loan to increase your contribution, score a bigger tax refund, and pay back the loan partially or entirely, all while growing your RRSP balance. Let's break it down with an example. Say you're in a 40% tax bracket and your RRSP contribution room is $10,000. You have $6,000 as available cash to contribute. Scenario 1, you contribute $6,000. Your tax refund is $2,400. Scenario 2, instead of stopping at $6,000, you borrow $4,000 and contribute $10,000. At 40% marginal tax, your tax refund would be $4,000. You use that money to pay off the loan. Now, your RRSP is boosted to $10,000 at no cost to you, other than a tiny bit of interest for the short time the loan was active. Why does contributing an extra $4,000 matter? With a contribution of $6,000 annually for 30 years, your portfolio grows to $734,000, assuming an 8% return. Contribute $10,000 annually, and that number jumps to $1.2 million. That's a 67% difference, and it's all thanks to a small, strategic move each year. Now let's make sure you don't mess this up, because even great strategies can backfire if done wrong. Step 1. Know your contribution room. You need to know how much you're allowed to contribute. Over-contributing can lead to significant penalties, and nobody wants that drama. Check your CRA account online or grab your latest notice of assessment. It'll tell you exactly how much contribution room you have left. Step 2. Estimate the loan amount. Next, figure out how much you should borrow. This depends on your marginal tax rate and how much cash you already have. You don't need to max out the loan, just borrow enough to hit your contribution target comfortably. If you want to borrow only the amount that you can pay back with the tax refund, the exact formula would be as follows. You take the cash you have available on hand, multiplied by your marginal tax rate, and divided by 1 minus your marginal tax rate. For example, if you have $6,000 to invest and you are at the 40% marginal tax bracket, then using this formula gives you the loan amount of $4,000. If you contribute that $4,000 along with the $6,000 you have available as cash, you're going to get $4,000 in tax refund, which you can use to pay off the loan completely. Step 3. Make the contribution. Once you've got the loan, combine it with your savings and make the contribution before the RRSP deadline, usually the end of February. This is the step where the magic happens. Your tax refund just got an upgrade. Step 4. Invest it. Don't let your RRSP funds sit there gathering dust. With interest rates in Canada declining fast, your money needs to be invested to grow. Think ETFs, mutual funds, or dividend stocks. Just make sure it's working for you. Step 5. Pay off the loan fast. The moment your tax refund lands in your account, pay off that loan. Don't even think about splurging on the latest gadget or a spontaneous trip to Cancun. The goal here is to boost savings, not rack up debt. Step 6. Repeat annually. The real power of this strategy lies in consistency. If you make this a habit, just like paying your mortgage, you'll see your RRSP balance skyrocket over time. And that's how you win at the retirement game. Who is this for? No financial strategy would be appropriate for everyone, and this strategy is certainly not for everyone. This strategy works best if you or your partner have unused contribution room. You can cover short-term interest payments on the loan, and you are disciplined enough to immediately repay the loan with the refund. If you're already maxing out your RRSP contributions or carrying high interest debt, this strategy might not be for you. So there you have it. The RRSP loan strategy is first on my financial checklist for a reason. The contribution deadline is fast approaching. It is due March 3rd this year, 2025. It's a simple, effective way to boost your retirement savings and get ahead financially. But remember, discipline is key. Pay off the loan with your refund, stay consistent, and let compound growth do the heavy lifting. Your future self, the one chilling on that retirement beach, will thank you. Next up on my financial checklist, reviewing my investment strategy for 2025, especially if I were to approach retirement. I'm a firm believer in buy and hold strategy, so my review is largely high level that involves asset allocation, contribution amount, and the overall strategy considering any significant shift in the broader economics picture. Let's start with what's happening out there, because wow, what a year already. In the US, Trump's administration is making waves with new tariff policies, while a strong job market keeps interest rates high. Up here in Canada, our dollar is weak. Our finance minister resigned right before Christmas, and now Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has called it quits too. So what does all this mean for us as Canadian investors? First, the weaker Canadian dollar. On the downside, buying US stocks or ETFs will cost more thanks to the exchange rate. A weaker loonie means your dollars won't stretch as far when buying assets in US markets. But if you're already holding US investments, any gains in those assets could be amplified when converted back into Canadian dollars. If you just want to be exposed to the base performance of the index, sector, or asset class without having to worry about currency fluctuations, you can look into the hedged version of the ETFs you are eyeing. Of course, a hedged ETF also means that you will not be able to take advantage of potentially positive fluctuations in the value of your currency. If the Canadian dollar declines relative to the value of the US dollar, you will not benefit. When thus choosing to invest in a hedged or unhedged version is a risk-reward question that you have to determine based on your own preferences and long-term investment goals. Let's look at an example. ZQQ hedged NASDAQ 100 index is the hedged version of the ZNQ, unhedged. There are many tools to help you compare performance of ETFs. I'm just gonna Google and use Portfolios Lab. You can see that the unhedged version ZNQ has been outperforming the hedged version ZQQ in the last 6 months as the Canadian dollar has declined in value rapidly. If you believe the USD will continue to be strong versus Canadian dollar, you can choose ZNQ, but if you are someone who think the fortune will reverse going forward and you only want to be exposed to the NASDAQ itself, then you can choose ZQQ. Second, with high interest rates in the US, American dividend stocks and bonds may become more attractive. Higher rates often mean better yields on fixed income products, so this could be a good year to explore US-based dividend ETFs, such as the SCHD ETF or some high-quality corporate bonds. Third, the potential change in policy direction in Canada under a conservative government could create opportunities closer to home. Historically, conservative-led policies often lean toward reduced corporate taxes and incentives for local industries like energy, finance, and manufacturing. Finally, let's not forget about global diversification. Don't let all the US and Canadian talk distract you. Having exposure to international markets is key. Geopolitical shifts are unpredictable, but a well-diversified portfolio can help reduce risk and take advantage of growth in emerging and developed markets. But as much as these macro factors make for interesting conversation, let's not get too caught up in the headlines. As billionaire investor Howard Marks wisely says, inflation, interest rates, and recessions don't matter as much as we think. The truth is, we can't predict them accurately. Instead, I'm focusing on what I can control: consistent contributions, smart diversification, and keeping emotions out of it. The core of my strategy for this year remains the same: dollar cost averaging into ETFs. I'll continue to invest regularly, buying a mix of ETFs that provide broad exposure to the market. I'm only making a few tweaks based on last year's growth and the current economic picture. Continue to invest in US stock. Thanks to technological advances and productivity boosts, I believe US companies will continue to outperform Canadian ones. So I'll maintain a strong focus on US stocks and ETFs. Trimming individual stocks, I hold small positions in individual tech stocks that have grown significantly. While I still believe in them, I will not add to these positions, instead channeling my additional contributions to ETFs. Diversifying more, I'm looking to diversify into dividend-paying stocks, global markets, and smaller cap companies. These moves will help spread risk. For example, my portfolio has been heavily weighted toward tech and the S&P 500, but I'm now looking to include the Dow Jones Index to balance things out. Here's what I'm focusing on. Regular contributions. I'm setting a fixed monthly amount to invest, sticking to my dollar cost averaging strategy. Think of it like your gym membership. Consistent effort is what gets results. Lump sum contributions. I'll also review my finances to see if I can make any lump sum contributions, like from an annual bonus. A little extra push can go a long way in compounding returns. Asset allocation. I'm fine-tuning my mix of assets to match my goals. That means keeping a strong foundation in ETFs while gradually increasing my exposure to Dow Jones, dividend stock ETF, and global stocks. At the end of the day, my approach is all about simplicity. Why? Because the more you overcomplicate things, the easier it is to get distracted, or worse, panic when markets get choppy. By sticking to a plan, I can ride out market ups and downs without second-guessing every decision. Remember, investing is a marathon, not a sprint. It's about time in the market, not timing the market. As Morgan Housel puts it, the biggest secret in investing is that average returns sustained for an above-average period of time lead to extraordinary returns. That's my goal: steady, long-term growth. Next on my list is my credit card strategy for the year, how I'm planning to maximize rewards, tackle big expenses like family travel, and make sure those annual fees are actually worth it. I have a spreadsheet that lists out all my credit cards, their annual fees, and when those fees are charged. This is my starting point for reviewing which cards still earn their keep and which ones no longer serve their purposes. I categorize my cards into 3 main groups. 1. Balance transfer promotions. These cards let you access cheap loans through balance transfer promotions. If you haven't already, check out my video where I go deep into how to leverage balance transfer promotions for big savings. 2. Rewards cards. These are usually my Amex cards. I use them to get points for travel and other perks. 3. High cashback cards, like the Scotia Momentum Visa Infinite, which gives 4% cash back on recurring bill payments. 4. Other perks: cards with unique benefits like lounge access, extended insurance, or the ability to shop at Costco because they only take MasterCard. Thanks for keeping it exclusive, Costco. If a card isn't pulling its weight, meaning the benefits don't outweigh the annual fee, I either cancel it or put a reminder in my calendar to do so before the next fee hits. Next, I will consider applying for new cards based on the big ticket items we plan to have. We all have those moments. Maybe you're booking a family vacation, upgrading your phone, or a home renovation. Whenever I know I have a major expense coming up, for example, we have a big Asia trip in April, I plan ahead and match it to a credit card that offers a welcome bonus. You know those promotions where you spend, say, $5,000 in the first 3 months and earn 50,000 points? That's what I'm talking about. For example, if I book a vacation that costs $5,000, I'm not just paying for flights and hotels, I'm unlocking enough points to cover flights and hotels for future trips or free tickets for my family. It's like getting a freebie for something you were going to do anyway. Welcome bonuses are hands down the best way to rack up rewards fast, but not all bonuses are created equal. Before signing up for a new card, I ask myself, can I meet the minimum spend without overspending? I use my credit card for bills, groceries, and planned expenses to hit the target easily. And second, is the bonus and card benefits worth the annual fee? Some cards charge $120 or even $800 annually, so I make sure the bonus and perks outweigh the cost. For 2025, since we will have at least one big trip in April, I have signed up for the American Express Platinum Card. The card has a steep annual fee of $799, but there are several benefits that make it worth it for me. 100,000 MR points for spending $10,000 in the first 3 months, $200 in annual travel credits, $200 in annual dining credits, complimentary lounge access, we gonna visit at least 4 countries and there are 2 of us so the benefits add up, and insurance coverage for trips and purchases. Another reason I applied for this card is that it is offering a historically high welcome bonus right now. If you have followed the credit card scene the last few years, you know that the welcome bonuses have been declining. So for a card that is offering historically high bonus, it's certainly rare. The expiry date of the current offer is January 28th, so make sure you apply before the date to take advantage of the promotion. Different credit cards will have different reward multipliers for different types of transactions. So depending on the nature of your expenses, you can plan out what cards to apply for. For instance, since we've already redeemed points for flights for our April trip, we'll be spending more on hotels. That's why I'll be looking for cards that offer higher rewards for hotel bookings. If your big ticket item is a home renovation, you might want a card with high cashback on home improvement purchases, or a balance transfer promotion to temporarily lower costs, or a card with a high spending requirement to unlock a big welcome bonus. And don't forget, if you're traveling internationally, use a card with no foreign transaction fees. Nobody wants to pay an extra 2.5% on every purchase just for being in another country. Before you get too excited about all these perks, keep in mind that credit cards are only your friend if you're paying off the balance in full each month. Carrying a balance, those rewards are wiped out by interest charges faster than you can say points redemption. Unless you have a balance transfer promotion, of course. My recommendation, set up automatic payment the moment you activate the card, so you will never miss a payment deadline. And if you're using a balance transfer promotion, keep track of when the promotional rate expires. The last thing you want is to be hit with double-digit interest rates because you forgot to pay it off. Next on my 2025 money checklist, reviewing my mortgage and HELOC strategy. The real estate and lending landscape has been a whirlwind these past few years, and if you have a mortgage or HELOC, this is your annual reminder to review your options. Why? Because even small adjustments can mean big savings. Let's start with the headline news from last year. The Bank of Canada made 5 rate cuts in 2024, slashing the prime rate by a total of 1.75%. HELOC rates, which had been pushing 8%, are now almost cozying up to mortgage rates. If you locked in a mortgage rate back in 2023 or early 2024, you might be feeling a little FOMO right now. This shift is opening up some interesting opportunities as HELOCs come with a ton of flexibility. Unlike mortgages, they only require interest-only payments, which can ease cash flow when times are tight. And unlike a mortgage, there's no prepayment penalty. So if you suddenly come into some extra cash, you can pay it off without triggering fees. It's like the loan equivalent of no strings attached, but in a financially responsible way. That led to one of my favorite strategies for rental property owners, the Smith maneuver or cash damming. In Canada, the interest you pay on your principal residence mortgage isn't tax deductible, but with a little planning, you can convert non-deductible debt into tax-deductible debt and save some serious cash in the process. Here's one version of the plays. 1. Use your rental income to pay down the mortgage on your principal residence. 2. Tap into your HELOC to pay for eligible rental property expenses, like mortgage interest, repairs, and other eligible costs. 3. Since the HELOC is being used for income-generating purposes, the interest on it may now qualify as tax-deductible. The result? You're effectively turning bad debt into good debt. It's like turning financial lemons into lemonade, but with a nice tax refund on the side. Important note, this strategy isn't for everyone. It depends on your financial situation, and the CRA doesn't mess around when it comes to tax deductions. So before you dive in, consult with your accountant or tax advisor to make sure you're doing it right. Even if you don't own rental properties, falling HELOC rates open up some interesting opportunities. Debt consolidation. If you have high interest debt like credit card balances or personal loans, consider consolidating them into your HELOC. The lower rate can save you thousands in interest. Home improvements. Thinking about upgrading your kitchen, adding a home office, or fixing that leaky roof? A HELOC can be a cost-effective way to fund renovations that could increase your home's value. Investing in businesses or other non-registered investments. While I don't always recommend leveraged investing, a HELOC can be a useful tool if you're looking to invest in a business or other income-generating opportunities. Just remember, leverage amplifies both gains and losses, so tread carefully. But remember, just because the rates are lower doesn't mean it's free money. A HELOC is still debt, so use it wisely. Now let's shift gears and talk about your mortgage. The start of the year is a great time to revisit your mortgage strategy, especially if you've got a renewal coming up or are thinking about adding to your property portfolio. Here are a few things to keep in mind. Portfolio strategy. Are you thinking about buying or selling any properties? Use this time to reevaluate your real estate portfolio and align it with your long-term goals. Renewal timing. Mortgage renewals are expected to spike by 57% this year, and most of those mortgages were locked in when rates were at historic lows. Remember those 1% days? With rates higher now, many homeowners will see significant payment increases. Talk to your broker early to explore your options and avoid sticker shock. Lock in a lower fixed rate. If you're currently on a variable rate mortgage, you might be tempted to lock in a fixed rate this year. Just keep in mind that fixed rate mortgages often come with steep penalties if you want to break them. Consider your long-term plans for the property before making a decision. Accelerate payments. With lower rates, you might have some extra breathing room in your budget. Use this as an opportunity to pay down your mortgage faster. Even a small increase in your monthly payment can shave years off your term and save you tens of thousands in interest. So as a summary, my 2025 HELOC and mortgage strategy in a nutshell. Leverage falling HELOC rates for smarter borrowing, explore tax-efficient strategies for rental property owners, stay proactive with mortgage refinancing or accelerated payments. For me, 2025 is all about finding that balance, using lower rates to save money, while staying disciplined about managing debt. My strategies aren't meant to be a one-size-fits-all. Rather, they are meant to give you some inspiration of what you can do. Make sure to check the numbers and consult with your accountant or financial advisor to tailor them to your situation. As part of my annual financial review, I always like to ask myself two questions. How can I earn more? And where can I cut back without hating life? This year, I'm exploring both. But here's the golden rule. Whatever I do, it has to be sustainable. Life's hard enough without turning your financial strategy into a grind. Let's start with the fun part, earning more. I'm a big fan of focusing on increasing income rather than obsessing over cutting out every last discretionary expense. Why? Because there's no ceiling on how much you can earn, but there's definitely a limit to how much you can cut back. Once you've trimmed all the fat, you're just cutting muscle, and that's no way to live. So how can you earn more this year? Here are a few strategies to consider. 1. Level up at work. If you've been crushing it in your job, it might be time to ask for a raise. Yes, it's awkward, but think of it this way. You're not just asking for money, you're advocating for your value. Come prepared with a list of your achievements and some market data to back you up. And if a raise isn't in the cards right now, look for opportunities to upgrade your skills or take on higher main roles within your company. Remember, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. or in this case, the higher paycheck. 2. Explore side hustles. Side hustles are a fantastic way to boost your income without relying solely on your 9 to 5. Whether it's freelancing, selling a product online, or offering a service like tutoring or photography, there's no shortage of ways to monetize your skills. Choose a side hustle that aligns with your interests or strengths. If you love designing, you can offer your services through sites like Fiverr or Upwork to help others. If you're great with numbers, try bookkeeping. The key is to find something that feels more like a passion project and less like a second job. 3. Create passive income streams. While this takes time to set up, passive income can pay dividends, literally. Consider investing in dividend-paying stocks, renting out a spare room on Airbnb, or even creating digital products like an online course. At the end of the day, the goal is to grow your income in ways that excite you and align with your long-term goals. If it's not fun or fulfilling, it's not going to be sustainable, and that's not something we want to do. Now, let's talk about cutting back. Reducing expenses doesn't have to mean giving up everything you love. In fact, I believe in strategic cutting, not extreme frugality, and not living life. Here's what I'm doing in 2025. Audit my subscriptions. How many streaming services are you actually watching? When was the last time you used that fancy workout app? Go through your subscriptions and cancel the ones that don't add real value to your life. It's like decluttering your finances, and you'll be amazed at how much you can save. Eat out less, cook more. Look, I love a good restaurant meal as much as the next person, but eating out adds up fast. This year, I'm cutting back on takeout and experimenting with cooking at home. It's cheaper, healthier, and dare I say fun. Plus, you can still treat yourself to a nice meal out once in a while without blowing your budget. Shop less. This one's a double win. Spend less money and declutter my life. Whatever you choose to do to earn more or spend less, remember, the plan is only as good as your ability to stick with it. If it feels like a punishment, it's not going to last. That's why I focus on sustainability over extremes. There is something called willpower fatigue. It's the idea that you only have so much willpower, and if you burn it all on small decisions like skipping coffee, you'll have less energy for big financial moves, like negotiating a raise or sticking to your investment plan. Instead, focus on the big wins, reducing major expenses like housing or transportation, or making decisions that free up significant cash flow. Focus on building habits that fit your lifestyle and make gradual improvements over time. Whether it's earning an extra $500 a month from a side hustle or cutting $200 in unused subscriptions and takeout, these changes add up. And when you enjoy the process, it doesn't feel like work, it feels like progress. Personally, I'm all about striking the right balance. I'm focused on the big picture goals, but I'm not giving up the little things that make life fun, like the expensive matcha latte or the occasional splurge at my favorite restaurant. Lastly, let's wrap up with one final strategy, one that doesn't involve spreadsheets, market trends, or tax calculators. But it's a strategy that, in my opinion, is just as important as all the others, if not more so. It's a strategy that pays dividends in ways money never can. Investing in relationships. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, relationships as a financial strategy? Stick with me, because nurturing your connections isn't just good for your soul, it's also good for your success. Let me show you why. You've probably heard the phrase before, your network is your net worth, and as cliche as it sounds, it's absolutely true. The people you surround yourself with, whether they're mentors, colleagues, friends, or family, have a profound impact on your personal and professional success. Think about it. How many opportunities in your life have come from someone you know? Maybe it was a job referral, a business lead, or simply a piece of advice that saved you time and money? Or how much support have you drawn from your loved ones during tough times? Whether it's a friend cheering you on or a partner helping you strategize, relationships provide the stability we need to take risks and grow. In many ways, relationships are like your financial portfolio. They require consistent investment, your time, energy, and care to grow. And just like compound interest, the returns on these investments get bigger over time. But there's an even bigger reason to focus on relationships. They're the key to a happy, fulfilling life. A landmark 75-year Harvard study on happiness followed hundreds of participants throughout their lives. And the results were clear. It wasn't wealth, career success, or even health that determined the quality of their lives. The single biggest factor? The quality of their relationships. The researchers followed hundreds of participants over their lifetimes, and they found that people with strong connections to loved ones, friends, and their community were not only happier, but also healthier. On the flip side, those who felt isolated or had poor relationships were more likely to experience stress, anxiety, and even physical health issues. If you haven't already, go watch the video on the study, which has had 26 million views. I'll put the link here. The takeaway is clear. While you're busy growing your net worth, don't forget to nurture the relationships that truly enrich your life. Because at the end of the day, what's the point of financial success if you don't have people to share it with? So how can you start investing in relationships this year? Here are a few ideas. Make time for loved ones, whether it's scheduling weekly calls with family, planning date nights, or simply showing up for the people who matter. Consistency is key. Relationships thrive when you give them time and attention. Put it on your calendar if you have to, because someday has a way of turning into never. Build your community. Get involved in your local community or professional network. Attend events, volunteer, or join groups that align with your interests. Think of it as networking, but without the awkward small talk about the weather. The more you give, the more you'll receive in return. Focus on quality, not quantity. You don't need a massive network to be successful or happy. Focus on building meaningful, authentic connections with a few key people. Depth matters more than breadth. Because let's be honest, you can't really keep up with 800 LinkedIn connections anyway. Practice gratitude and kindness. Never underestimate the power of a heartfelt thank you or a genuine compliment. Small gestures can go a long way in strengthening bonds and showing people that you value them. Let's be real. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle of building wealth and forget about the people around you. But if you don't make time for relationships, you'll miss out on the most valuable returns life has to offer. This year, I'm committing to making my relationships a priority, not just because they're good for my happiness, but because they give me the foundation I need to succeed in every other area of life. When you have strong relationships, you're more resilient, more creative, happier. So while you're busy crushing your financial goals, don't forget to nurture the people who make it all worthwhile. After all, your relationships are the best kind of investment, one that pays dividends in love, support, and a life well lived. So there you have it, my complete financial planning checklist for 2025. From maxing out your RRSP contributions to trimming your expenses without trimming the joy out of life, I hope my checklist gives you some inspiration to review yours and make this year the best year of your life. At the end of the day, personal finance isn't just about building your net worth, it's about building the life you want. It's about creating freedom, security, and the ability to enjoy what really matters. Whether that's a retirement on a beach, a big family trip, or just a quiet moment with someone you love. Remember, this journey isn't about being perfect. It's about progress, small, consistent steps, whether it's earning a bit more, saving a bit smarter, or investing in the people around you, add up to something incredible over time. If this video resonated with you, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone you care about, and don't forget to subscribe for more tips on creating a life that's rich in every sense of the word. Until next time, take care of your finances, take care of your relationships, and most importantly, take care of yourself. Here's to a successful 2025. You've got this.